I want to know in here who has ever had a belief for something that they wanted to protest for, or they know someone that's protested for something that they believe in strongly. Just raise a hand. That's it. Okay. I'll let you know, March 21st, 1960, South African police took fire in a peaceful protest and resulted in 69 deaths of black South Africans. This was due to the cause of the treacherous time known as apartheid. Apartheid was a racial segregation system led by a minority group of whites in South Africa that had power over the majority of groups, which is black South Africans. Now think of that. Here we consider racism as appointed to a minority. This was the complete opposite in South Africa, where a small group of people were able to discriminate and segregate and take power over the majority of people. This was it was rare. There was a black military group known as the National African Congress. They took pride and their mission was to basically allow both races to live peacefully together, not segregated. A lawyer known as Nelson Mandela, anybody know? Nelson Mandela was a lawyer who joined the National African Congress in 1944. He took leadership in the youth program, and later on he took leadership into other roles and helped the National African Congress with various efforts against apartheid. Okay. So, Nelson Mandela had many accomplishments in the National African Congress. One of his accomplishments was he developed the first black firm in South Africa to fight against injustices against the majority of South Africans, because there was apartheid rules, and these rules were, of course, unfair. They segregated both blacks and whites from doing things, and they discriminated against it. It was completely unfair. But this gave them a fighting chance for black lawyers to defend other South Africans that were wrongfully convicted. He also showed resilience. He stood as a symbol for hope for all of South Africa. For 27 years, Nelson Mandela was sentenced to prison, to solitary confinement and working for hours a day. Now imagine, you guys might complain when you do work here for 7 hours because you get in trouble or something. You might complain when you do extra duties for 15 minutes. But imagine doing work for 27 years and being beaten for the smallest things just because you wanted to stand up for something. Not for something that was horrible, not for something like drugs, not for anything like that, but just for the freedom of your people. And that's why you're going to jail for 27 years. Yet Mandela knew that this was bigger than him. So he still showed resilience and perceived past this, and was able to stand up for his people for a symbol of hope. After the 27 years, he was able to be released in 1990. He made negotiations with the then president, F.W. Clerk, to end apartheid. This was his mission his whole life. He was able to end apartheid and give South Africans the freedom they deserved. He was finally named the first black president of South Africa. Crazy, right? The majority of South Africa is blacks, and he was the first one to ever be elected as president in the first democratic election. Nelson Mandela exhibits a world leader that not only changed his country, but changed the whole world with his resilience in prison, being the first black president, and his efforts in the National African Congress to end this horrific terminology known as apartheid, to segregate and put down another race. Yet he was able to proceed through this. Now he has passed away, but he is a great leader and he was able to impact the world.